Hello, how are you? I hope things are going well, that you're having an incredible start to 2021. It's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a good year finishing off some makeup, wearing makeup more frequently, all the good feelings of like really getting to enjoy our collections again. So I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and check out where I am with Pan That Palette with a combination of Pan Those Eyeshadows. My goal this year is to do a much better job of jumping around my collection, getting some more use out of things. And so I put the goal in front of myself that I'm going to randomly pick a palette or two at a time. I'm working with a couple at the moment just because I wanted to keep on working with some progress from last year. But I'm going to randomly pick palettes using a number generator, and my goal is to hit pan in 3 of the shades before I go on and move on to the next palette. So if that is something that is of interest to you, come on and jump in. I really enjoy this concept. I love watching videos of this concept of Pan That Palette and Pan Those Eyeshadows, because I feel like we're all really getting to know our makeup collections and enjoy our makeup collections, and at the same time kind of having that spontaneity in there is a whole lot of fun. So first off, I am going to be updating you on 4 palettes. The stock palettes that I wanted to work on were 2 MAC palettes that I had continuing on from my Back to MAC Pan That palette from last year, and then I really felt drawn to the LORAC Mega PRO 3, so I've been working on this. I didn't randomly pick that, it's just kind of what I gravitated towards. And then I'm gonna give you an update on my Subculture palette. I'm really kind of just quietly panning this in the background. It's not necessarily in any project, but I know there are quite a few people that have been interested in my progress on this. So, but first off, I have to share this because this was huge. I shared this on Instagram, but I'm so stoked. Like I finally hit pan again in this Clinique Cheek Pop and Cola Pop. I mean, seriously, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you know this has been a thing. This has been a moment that like I've been wearing this blush for so flippin' long. And so after I had to repress it because it shattered before and the formula expanded when I repressed it. And so now to finally hit pan again is just like, so sidebar, I know it's small potatoes, not everybody's gonna care, but that is a big flippin' deal that I'm so excited about. So just saying, it's kind of dictated my eyeshadow because, you know, I wanted to go on and make progress in it with panning through the pandemic, and I know like wearing makeup has been hit and miss, but that was momentous the day I hit pan. So exciting. Anyways, moving on. So, all right, the first palette we're gonna talk about is my MAC Warm Neutrals palette. I'm gonna go on and put a picture of where I ended up in December at the end of Back to MAC Pan That palette. I decided I wanted to go on and take the opportunity to hit pan in 3 shades before moving on. So this is where I currently am with this palette. The only shade that I'm currently working on is this beautiful neutral brown over here called Saddle, and good gravy, it is taking forever to hit pan in this. So my first shade that I was able to hit pan in was this beautiful espresso brown down here, and then I hit pan in this highlighting shade. Oh my goodness, I love this glowy shadow over here in my inner corner on my brow bone. The Saddle, it's taken a long time. I feel like when I finally hit pan, it's gonna be one of those situations where it's gonna be consistently hitting pan around the entire thing, because I don't even feel like there's a dip, and I've been using this for months. So that's the thing. And you know, today I decided to try it on as a contour because it's actually kind of a similar shade to my Benefit Hoola bronzer. So I don't know, we'll try it out and see if that helps me make a little bit more progress, but I did use it as a contour today and it's not bad. So thought I would try it, but this is where I am working on this. Gonna keep it on in rotation through February, and hopefully we'll see a little bit more progress on that shadow, but that's where I am with that. The next palette I've actually made quite a bit more progress on, and that is my MAC in the Flesh palette. So here's where I was before. And then here is where I am currently. This one, I've actually done a little bit more jumping around because I would be in a mood on excuse me, wearing different eye combinations, and then I got to a point where I was like, if I'm gonna make any progress, maybe I need to jump around and use some more shadows. So the way that I initially hit pan in this palette, I was going through and I was using this beautiful cool tone brown in the bottom row called Lack Factor. I think it's Black Factor. Carbon's this one. I think this is Black Factor, but it's a beautiful shade if I wanted to just do a very soft eyebrow look. If I didn't want to wear an eyebrow pencil, I would just go through and use this as shadow in my brows. It's really quite beautiful. What I've been doing for my brows lately, I have decided to go through and use the CoverGirl Micro Brow Pencil in soft brown, and I like going through with this. It's kind of, I mean, it's more of a transition shade, but actually it fills in the rest of my brows quite nicely. I actually have it in my brows today, and I kind of like the little bit of a lighter look. Like now that I'm seeing a little bit more gray in my hair, I prefer to go a little bit lighter with my brows than what I used to do. So this is kind of a swatch of what it looks like, and mixed in with that cooler toned CoverGirl brow pencil, it actually pairs really well together. So I figure with my stiff eyeshadow brush, that might give me an opportunity to hit pan on this, you know, at least within like the next couple of months or so. I've also finally hit pan. This is a beautiful highlighting shade over here. It's not quite, it's lovely. It's not what I would pick on my own, like from here on out, because it has just a little bit more white in it, where it's kind of a, it's not as glowy as the highlighting shade from the MAC Warm Neutrals palette. I don't know, like it comes across a little bit flatter, a little bit more white on the skin. Like I've got it on in my highlighting, like on my brow bone in my inner corner today. I've been wearing this for months. It is a really lovely shade, but like I said, I know for a fact, like after using this, there are other things that I like better. So just kind of putting that out there. I've also been working on this kind of pinky peach shade. I love wearing this on the lid when I was wearing some burgundy looks. I also use this as I was working on my LORAC Mega PRO 3 that I'm going to show you in just a minute, just kind of getting some use out of this. You can see a nice deep well in there, but I have not hit pan. And then my other shadow that I'm trying to maybe work on for a little bit to try to hit pan on is Carbon down here, using it as a liner. So this palette will also remain in rotation for February until I hit pan on one more shadow. So hopefully, I think it's probably going to be this shade that I hit pan on, obviously before I hit pan on the matte black, but these two shadows are going to be what I'm primarily focusing on. So we'll see what happens before I, you know, pull in another palette to rotate in something different. Then the exciting one, my LORAC Mega PRO 3. Now this palette was relatively untouched, with the exception of I had just about gotten down to the pan in rose quartz. It only took me about 2 uses to get to the bottom of that. And I also had a little bit of use in cider and some in hickory. So this is where I currently am with this palette. I have hit my 3 pans worth of shadow. Let me turn this the correct way. So first off, one of the shades that I've really learned to love out of this palette is Eggplant up here. I love using this to deepen up my outer corner of my eye. I love using this as a liner. It's a really soft, flattering plum shadow. I loved using it over on top of a Revlon Color Stay Cream Gel eyeliner, and like a, it looks like a really, yeah, Cashmere Plum is the shade. I also liked pairing this shade with Rowdy from my Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. It was really beautiful. It's something that I look forward to reaching for from here on out. I also loved this Hickory shade. I would use this in my brows if I wanted a warmer look. I use it in my outer corner if I want to deepen things up. I use it as a liner if I want to have a brown, kind of a smoky eye for during the day, so it was not hard to hit pan in this. I've also been going through, I haven't hit pan yet, but Walnut is a shade I've been using in my crease on a day-to-day basis. I'll go through with Saddle from that MAC Warm Neutrals palette. I'll throw this in the crease and I'll deepen up my outer corner with Hickory. Beautiful look. When I wanted something shimmery on my lids, I would go through with Cider down here. Love this shade. It's a beautiful, like, pumpkin-y, golden-y, like, oh, it's just so pretty. to wear on an everyday basis. I love this shadow, especially pairing with that eggplant shade. Oh my goodness, it is so stunning. And then also this rose quartz shade has a little bit more of a rose gold tone to it. It's a little bit crumbly, but those two were just beautiful. So that feels really good to go on and hit pan in 3 shades, because the official pans that I have in here going right now, I have pan in the rose gold or rose quartz shade down here. It's probably gonna be too small to see, but there is pan in there. I got down to the bottom, haven't quite hit pan yet in cider, but I'm almost there. And then I hit pan in hickory, and then hit pan in eggplant. So I will be choosing another palette at the end of the video, but very quickly before we go into that, I wanted to show you where I am with my Subculture palette. So let me show you a picture of where I was with that last time. And as far as this palette goes, I am really kind of making some progress. As you can see, Rowdy has been what I've used the most. Now, I'm gonna be very honest to say I haven't like used all of the shadow on my eyes. It is gonna look substantially different from where it was last time, because I have gotten to the point where my shadow is crumbling. Like pretty much every time I gently tap my brush in it, chunks will fall off. And I try to crush up the powder and use the powder and not, carry my palette up like this where everything spills, but it's getting to a point where it's kind of a hot mess to use. So I've definitely been actively working on Rowdy. I've also been actively working on this shade over here called Untamed. It's what I'm wearing on my lower lash line today. I really, really love it to just kind of give me a little bit of a pop of a bluish teal on my lower lash line when I want to wear like an all matte look like I have going on today. And I've also gotten a little bit of use out of Axis up here, but like I said, these two have been primarily the shadows I've been working with. So that's kind of where I am for the moment with what's going on for my palettes. And now it's time to choose what my next palette's gonna be. So I have in my handy dandy composition book, I know I'm old school. I wanted to write it down to get the satisfaction of like going through my shadows and seeing what I actually have, because I have reorganized my backup stash and all that to prepare for some videos coming up. So I currently own 31 palettes. And I have decided that if I accidentally draw something that I have already hit pan in, I'm gonna go on and draw for, well, not 340. I'm gonna go on and draw another palette, so that way I make sure that I'm continuing to rotate. So I'm using the random numbers app. I have 1 through 31. And now we're going to generate. And the number that we're gonna get is number 10, which is the LORAC Pro Soleil palette. So let me go get that for you real quick. All right, and here we go. This was the number I chose, the LORAC Pro Soleil. It's number 10 in my collection. I'm actually really excited to use this because it is a brand new palette. If you haven't gotten the chance to check this out yet, the way that it comes, as I blind you, is you have the shade names on the top. It's gonna have a similar color story to the LORAC Mega Pro 3, so I'm not really surprised at how that's gonna go, but this is what the color story looks like on the inside. So we're gonna have some more warm tone shades. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna try to, well, I definitely can use this bone shade for sure. And I'm gonna be trying very actively to make some use out of some of these shimmery shades over here. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. But one of the other things that was neat about this palette is if you open it up all the way, it's a trifold palette, you can push the shadows using these holes in the bottom so that you can go on and depot them into other packaging if you want to have them be more travel friendly and whatnot. So I'm actually pretty excited to have another LORAC palette in rotation, because one of the things I've learned about the formula through the years of panning, I've now panned the LORAC Pro, the Pro 2, and then I've panned quite a few shadows out of the LORAC Mega Pro. The LORAC formula is very, very easy and consistent to make decent progress through. So if you're needing a confidence booster and finishing off some eyeshadow, or even if your goal is just to hit pan on some shadow, this formula in particular is a really easy, user-friendly, beginner-friendly even formula to really kind of try your hand with, and then also you're not stuck with that shadow for months and months and months and months on end without making any progress. So that's exciting. All right, so here we go. We're gonna put the LORAC Mega Pro 3 back in the backup stash. So the palettes I'm gonna be working on, hopefully, hitting pan and one more shade out of the In the Flesh palette, so I can go on and put that to rest. And then we'll see where I get with Saddle on, or Saddle in February to see kind of where we end up. So 3 palettes, and then, like I said, quietly panning Subculture in the background. So these will be my 3 palettes coming up. So like I said, I really appreciate you taking the time to check out how I'm doing with the project. I really hope that you're having a lot of fun. I'm enjoying catching up on everybody's panning videos and seeing where they are with Pan That Palette, Pan Those Eyeshadows, and their new beginnings for 2021. So it's gonna be a good year. We're gonna have faith that this is gonna be a good year, that we're gonna get motivated, we're gonna wear makeup more than we did back in 2020, and it's gonna be great. So until next time, take care, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. So until then, adios.